We are talking to Kevin Kaul. Kevin is West Coast manager for Hillary Clinton campaign and of course for South Asian community. He has served Southern California almost for last 15 years in both South Asian community as well as the mainstream American politics. And he is the founder chairman of US Asia Business Forum, Federation of South Asian American Communities, as well as he's the sheriff of LA County. So Kevin, tell me, why did you decide to go for Hillary Clinton so decisively?
This all started, just to keep the record straight, in 2004 I had supported, 2000 and 2004 I had supported President Bush, and the reason of my support for President Bush at that time was based on decisions that were conducive for the good for the country of the United States and good for our community at large. And President Bush was supported in 2004. For the 2008 elections, I do an analysis personally, and then as a leader of the community, I move forward, and I expect the community to follow. A majority of the community in general follows the direction after my analysis that I try to do, and I would like to be very upfront to everybody why I chose Hillary over the other candidates since 2005 when she was running for the Senate race, and subsequently in 2007 I supported Hillary for the presidential candidacy. The reason why I supported President Clinton was presidential candidate Hillary Clinton was two reasons. Number one reason was today America is in a position, since I travel all over the world, which needs a lot of damage control based on whatever has happened under the Bush administration. Under the Bush administration, he has done a good job for the country. There's been no significant what do we call after 9/11. There are a lot of challenges President Bush has encountered during his presidency, which we all do support. But at the same time, in 2008, if you really look at all the candidates that are there today, Clinton, Obama, and John McCain, between the three candidates, if there is a global name, which I personally feel a global name which relates to peace, which relates to friendship, which relates to bridging the gap between different nations, 195 nations all over the world. If there is one individual and one individual family which can do justice to these three major aspects, and the fourth is the most important thing, is the experience, I think it is the Clinton name. After Mahatma Gandhi died 60 years ago, and in the last century, he was in the second most popular man, or popular name in the world by the Time magazine after Albert Einstein. If there is a name today in the global scenario which earns respect for America, respect for individuals, and I think it's the Clinton name. And based on that, I made a couple of decisions that the Clinton family deserves to come back, and President Bill Clinton had done a wonderful job during his presidency of 8 years, and the economy was great, everything was great, and he has mended a lot of bridges, a lot of global respect he has earned under the global Clinton Global Initiative that he started after that. All the leaders of the world come to that event after the United Nations. So keeping all those things in mind, and she has the experience of being in the White House for 8 years, as the former First Lady, as the First Lady of the United States, being a senator, being an attorney, being a very successful attorney, I think compared to Obama, she has the experience, she has the goodwill of the masses globally. She also has. It is not that there is something new for Hillary Clinton if she goes back to the White House. It is for sure to serve a nation, serve the global community, which is of utmost importance at this present time. That is the reason why I, as an individual, stepped forward and said she will be good for the United States first, and then the global community second.
So you raised $600,000 for Hillary this year. My question is also the Indian community in general poured in for her with funds. But what is guaranteed? Okay, let's say not guaranteed. What she promised in return to the Indian community?
In this support system, there are no promises made. Number one, there are no assurances. Number two, but definitely a seat on the table is what is always discussed. We do not, as a South Asian American community, it is so unfortunate, being the most educated community in the United States of 5 million people, most family-oriented community, number two, richest community, number three, and the shortest duration of time they've lived in the United States and been successful. We do not even have an undersecretary level position in the mainstream administration. I just recall 4 years ago, in the history of Los Angeles of 150 years, we did not even have a deputy mayor of South Asian origin. We used to have deputy mayors, 3 deputy mayors were always there of Asian origin, which were Orientals. It is so unfortunate that we used to come under the banner of Asian community but never get any participation because we used to get diluted with the Oriental community. If you go to the Asian Chamber of Commerce in downtown Los Angeles, you will step into that building and what you're going to see there is not one South Asian in that building. Whereas we call ourselves under the Asian category. This is one of my requests which I've made to Honorable President Clinton as well as to other leaders of the congressmen and other leaders, that South Asian should have a separate census, separate category, not under the Asian countries. Because America runs on 2 things: how you look, what you eat. Now the Orientals look alike, most of them. South Asians look alike, most of them. So why can't we have a separate category in the census? We eat, our eating habits are the same. We have a lot of things in common. So what happens? We get diluted into the Asian category, and that is one of the major reasons why South Asians in general goes into the pool of Asian community, and we do not get anything in return, which is so unfortunate. And last 5 years, that is the change that we have made under the FOSAAC banner, which is Friends of South Asian American Community, to segregate ourselves from the Asian community and call ourselves South Asians, so that we have a voice, which is 5 million people, 5 million votes. We identify ourselves with a net worth of $400+ billion community. We also identify ourselves as a separate community. We do fundraising, we do a lot of activities in the mainstream as a South Asian. We started with the Sheriff Council, we started with the Indo-American Council, it expanded to Pakistani American Council, then it expanded to Bangladesh Council, Nepalese Council, Sri Lankan Council. So we support each other, communities on the political level. The reason why we support each other is to get a seat on the table. For the first time, because we have been supporting different mayors of Los Angeles, but as collectively as South Asian, we supported Mayor Viragosa. And the first time we had a qualified deputy mayor of Pakistani origin in the history of United States. So under those circumstances, it's very important for the community at large to understand that as South Asians, if you go, we have a better voice. My past experience in the political system of mainstream as well as the Indo-American community at large for the last 15 years has been an American mainstream politician comes to the Indian community, says Pakistan is bad, goes to the Pakistani event, says India is bad, he takes money from both the communities, doesn't deliver anything to the community. Now under the FOSAAC banner, Friends of South Asian American Community, we had 3 presidential candidates come to us in the last 4 years 7 times. And I have never heard for the first time they disrespecting other South Asian nations, because they know this banner of South Asians is for all South Asians together, because we don't really care what happens outside the United States. Our kids, our children is what matters to us. Our future is in America, and that matters to us the most for our children's future. My children, all the South Asian American community's children, tomorrow when they grow up, they need a seat on the table as much as any Chinese gentleman or a Korean gentleman or a Japanese gentleman. They should have a seat on the table. If we don't start that today, we are going to be, next 50 years, we are not going to be successful in creating more Bobby Jindals that is there in the nation.
But Kevin, there are some really hard statistics that are hitting hard this country. I mean, if you see the dollar is depreciating almost like between 5 to 10% rate globally. So our net asset is declining. We are under the big subprime crisis, and the whole economy is in shambles in this country. And coming back to the education system, every year our kids are getting dumb and dumber. That is a fact that our school kids are getting from dumb to dumber. Now, why do you think that Hillary is the best candidate for solving this hard-hit problem on United